And time for us to talk about the Nobel Prize. Do you know what? The Nobel Prize announcements keep on coming, don't they? Today, 3 scientists have been awarded the 2021 Nobel Prize in Physics for their work to understand complex systems such as the Earth's climate. Tomorrow it's the prize for chemistry, literature on Thursday, and then, I suppose, the most famous one, the Peace one, Nobel Prize for Peace, on Friday. Well, yesterday, scientists who discovered how our bodies feel warmth of the sun or a hug of a loved one won the Nobel Prize. David Julius and Patapoutian from the US share the 2021 prize in medicine or physiology for their work on sensing touch and temperature. Dr. Rich Harrison heads up the pain lab at the University of Reading. Rich, hello to you.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all. So let's have a look at this research then of Julius and Patapoutian. So how important is it? Because obviously we do know a lot about touch, but all the time it seems such a basic sense. But actually, there's so much more to it.
It's remarkable. It's sort of one of those most basic questions we've been asking since like the Descartesian days in terms of how does the body interact with its environment, you know, and it's something we can all obviously understand and we all deal with it every day in ways that we don't even contemplate. So it's one of the basic questions of science, and the work of Julius and Patapoutian that's been going on since sort of the 90s in earnest is remarkable work, and they just keep on building on discovery after discovery after discovery, and it's every little bit that we get closer to being able to understand how these specific biological mechanisms work, the better we are able to understand what happens when they go wrong. And also just academically, you know, it's quite interesting to be able to learn a little bit more about how our bodies and brains work in engaging with our lives and the world.
Yes, it is remarkable, isn't it, how a mixture of various messages, be they electrical, be they chemical, whatever it is, gives us this overall feeling of touch. And it could work both ways. It could be really pleasant, you know, a hug from your daughter or everything that I get. It infuses you with everything. Though pain is a different level. You deal with that day in, day out. And sometimes you must be able to say, well, yes, I know you've got pain, but I don't know why. And I can't figure it out because it's such a mystery.
Exactly, and obviously for me, it's sort of, I guess I'm the lucky one in terms of my working relationships because I don't myself suffer from chronic pain anyway. And so when I talk to our patients and they're in that situation of saying, you know, the doctors have run every test and they've been trying to figure out what's wrong with me and we can't get anywhere, there is no treatment that works. That is, and especially if you're told that this may be something that's lifelong, it must be the most infuriating and very depressing environment to be in. It can be all controlling. If you've had a bad back, I do get bad backs from time to time, and it becomes the only thing you can think about. It controls your life. So these questions and developments are critical. It's about 1 in 3 folk in England, sometimes, you know, up to 1 in 2, depending on how you ask the question, have problems with chronic pain throughout their lifespan. So we're all living longer and mostly happier lives, which is a great thing. But as we live older, this question of how to manage pain becomes even more important. And so that's why work on our end in terms of psychology and looking at sort of neural circuitry in the brain is one way, but another way is doing what sort of Julius and Patapoutian do here, which is understand more about the cell biology and the mechanisms on a very specific level, so that maybe we can start working on new types of drugs or new types of treatment to be able to help people who deal with, you know, one of the most incapacitating things a human can deal with.
Yes, because that's interesting. If you get right down to the cellular level, I mean, obviously there are chemical reactions going on, and it almost is twofold. It's a physical one, ouch, that hurts, and B, an emotional one as well. That's really getting me down.
Yeah, that's right, and it's obviously we need to take into account a combination of those, but we have sort of in my specific area of pain research, we have this, it's not particularly catchy, but it's that pathology doesn't equal symptomology. It's that injury doesn't equal pain. If it was that simple, a lot of the clinicians' work and our work would be a lot easier than it is. But even when you take into account the findings of these two Nobel Prize winners, there's something called capsaicin, for example, which is it's an active chemical within chilies. It's what gives chilies that sort of fiery, hot, spicy consistency. And there's a lot of that goes into this research. And if you suffer from pain, you can actually go to a shop, to a pharmacy, to a Boots or whatever, and you can buy a capsaicin patch which goes over where it hurts. And so after a while, what happens is all of the nerves, these TRP receptors that David Julius focuses on, they sort of get desensitized. They stop working, so it can help manage pain on like a biological level, which is great. However, we see that actually with lots of people, sometimes this does absolutely nothing for them. So biologically, it should work. Chemically, it should work. But the power of the brain and the power of the person sometimes is much more of a bigger influence in these instances. We need to understand the whole unit, to be able to try and tackle this problem. This is a critical part of that puzzle, don't get me wrong. But as you say, it's sensation, it's emotions, it's what we're thinking, it's where we are, it's all manner of things that go into it, which makes it very tricky, but a very fascinating area to study, I think.
Absolutely. Nature is an amazing thing, isn't it? To think that it's come up with that. I mean, it just, trying to unravel that is going to be a lifetime's work there, Rich.
Oh, yes, several lifetimes over, I think. I think we've been trying to tackle this for about, 150 years in true earnest. I got a feeling there'll be few questions when I'm done and gone that other people can throw themselves at, I should think.
Really good to speak to you, Rich. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. Rich Harrison, who heads up the pain lab at the University of Reading, following on from that news of the Nobel Prize. It's